Hi, I'm Bob Bednarz, residential mortgage lender with Guarantee Mortgage. I'm here to talk about why buy a home if mortgage rates are rising. The answer is look at this guy. He is literally window shopping a local real estate office. Don't we all do this? If we see the home we've always wanted, the home we would die for, do we throw our hands up in the air and say, can't do it now, rates are rising, the sky's falling? Or do we talk with someone like me who could look at all the financing possibilities to make our dream a reality? The answer is yes. Buy the home you've always wanted, in spite of rising interest rates. You can't do anything to prevent rising rates, but there are plenty of ways to soften the blow. While this isn't the best news, doom and gloom opinions about the market don't have to deter your home ownership plans. It pays to think long term, especially if your long term aim is to set down roots, have a family, and look to the future. And home values are still rising. The fact is, rising interest rates are lowering demand. That just makes it that much more attractive to a home buyer. The pace for home appreciation is decelerating, not depreciating. Home appreciation is the most successful strategy towards building wealth. And now is the time to get in on the ground full floor before appreciation starts to accelerate again. But if you're a buyer on a budget, how can you afford higher interest rates? Well, first, you can put down a bigger down payment. A low down payment home loan can put home ownership within your reach, and you're able to keep more of your cash in reserves. But if rising mortgage rates result in a monthly payment that's higher than you would like to pay, a larger down payment can help offset the effects of the higher rate. There's also the option of paying discount points to buy down your mortgage rate. Each discount point costs roughly 1% of the loan amount and can reduce your mortgage rate by about a quarter percent. So if you have a $700,000 loan and you pay 1 point, instead of paying 0 points, the 0 points rate would be at 7%. The 1 point rate would be at 6.75%. But remember, 1 point is $7,000 addition to your closing costs. Be mindful that discount points will increase your closing costs. Although discount points can save you money, you should not deplete you should not deplete your savings account for a home purchase. Keep some cash in the bank for an emergency home fund. That's where I want to get to negotiating a temporary buy down. This is an old mortgage strategy that has recently exploded in popularity in the current market. If the seller is willing to give you a credit towards your closing costs as part of your purchase contract negotiation, ask them for a temporary buy down. They can temporarily buy down your rate as much as 2% for the first 2 years. Here's an example of what we call a 2-1 buy down. The seller agrees to temporarily buy down your mortgage rate for 2 years. If your rate is 7%, then you can reduce your rate down to 5% for the first year and 6% in the second year. Then only in the third year do you pay the 7% rate you would have otherwise gotten without the buy down. In this example, sales proceeds from the seller are set up in a special escrow account. The seller agrees to set aside $16,315 to pay down the monthly buy down payments for 2 years. The first year, the buyer pays a mortgage payment calculated at 5%, and the buy down account pays the $899 monthly difference. The second year, the buyer pays a mortgage calculated at 6%, and the buy down account pays the $460 monthly difference. It's not until the third year that the buyer pays his full payment of $4,657 a month. That's 7% for the remaining 28 years of his 30-year fixed rate loan. The buyer would have had to pay the full $4,657 payment at 7% for all 30 years if he did not have that seller buy down credit for the first 2 years. Now, a special market segment I want to talk about is the move up buyer. These are buyers who currently own a home but might want to sell and buy a new and better house. Just think about it for the moment. You have ogled that beautiful home across the street and envied the folks who live there. What if all of a sudden it came up on market for sale? It's kind of like that Netflix TV series, The Watcher. Would you pass up the opportunity? Chances are maybe. Homeowners are generally complacent these days, and one big reason is their current interest rate. Current homeowners refinanced into 2 and 3% interest rates over the last few years. If you are in your forever home, then sitting on a mortgage with 2 or 3% fixed rate is perfect for you. But if you want to move for any reason, that 2 or 3% rate is going to cost you more in higher home prices if you want the rate to come back down. Here's why. While mortgage payment growth has increased 50% during the last year, as shown on the upper line of this graph to the right side, home appreciation rates have also rapidly decelerated. Homeowners are now peaking at their highest level of equity. If you want to sell and buy for relocation, better schools, retirement, or you just want that nicer house, there has never been a better time to pull the trigger. Look at this next chart. It compares inflation, the purple line, with home appreciation, the green line. The black line is net appreciation, the effect that inflation has on appreciation. Until last year, the green line and the black line were virtually the same. But as inflation has been rising this past year, inflation has been making that black line of net appreciation rise. Inflation is taking a bite out of home appreciation. That difference between the net equity sellers have in their current home and the current value of homes they can buy now has never been narrower. It will cost you less to buy up than it has been for many years. Now is the time for homeowners to take that jump and sell their home to move up and buy a new one. Do it now before rates go back down, increasing demand, and then that will make appreciation start to accelerate again and start to widen up that opportunity gap that we have so narrow right now. So bottom line is, what goes up must go down. Buy now, refinance later. In all these home financing strategies, it helps to remember that you can buy now at current higher rates and refinance later when rates come back down. In the mortgage world, what goes up always comes back down. Look at this mortgage chart showing 30-year fixed rate mortgage history for the last 50 years. If you pay attention to the far right side, you can see how mortgage rates consistently move up and down. And if you look at today on the far right side, we are definitely due for a drop in rates in the next year or two, maybe sooner. That is the time to refinance. Like if you got that temporary buy down rate of 5%, that would be the time with fixed rates are back to 5% to refinance and lock a 30-year fixed rate at 5%. So in conclusion, I just want to reemphasize, buy now, refinance later, but make sure you can afford it. Borrowers who tend to focus on their debt repayment plan and not enough on budgeting and savings are not going to cut it with today's higher interest rates. Borrowers, when looking at mortgage solutions, are better prepared if they factor in all their day-to-day expenses, such as food and gas, in addition to the bigger expenses like maintenance and taxes. Today, more than ever, we all need a coordinated debt and savings strategy that, among other things, ensures cash flow in an emergency or in the event rates go up even more before coming back down. By buying smart today, you will be better prepared to refinance when rates go back down again. Don't pass up all that wealth building appreciation you can be earning now. By waiting for rates to come back down, you could be losing more in the long run with higher prices. That is the real strategy for successfully buying in a high interest rate market. That is where I can help you plan. Just call me, Bob Bednarz, your lender for life.